And I'll go ahead and start as the host. My name is Eric Hunter. Most people just call me Hunter. I am a returned citizen as well as alumni of the Last Mile program, Columbia's Justice Through Code, and now with y'all with Code the Dream. I primarily work in AI and machine languages, but I did start in web development with JavaScript and TypeScript, React, Node, full MERN stack as being my primary getting my feet wet into the market. Databases, I do a lot of relational databases, and mostly I refine chatbots. And the majority of my work is done in Python. So right now I'm actually finishing up my degree in Python and other C languages. So I think I find Python, I use it most for data and AI. Here. One, two, three. Okay, so we got five people already. Let's go ahead and get started. Anybody want to introduce themselves? Maybe point out any problems you're having, your little rundown of your coding history. I know you guys have all taken the intro classes. How do you feel about your journey so far?
We can start.
Okay, thank you, Oksana.
I'm Oksana, and so have some little experience. I already finished React Node and Ruby on Rails class, and actually working on a project with React and Ruby on Rails on a back. And so looking forward to learn something new from Python, just to have another check marks and another language.
Excellent. Are you having any issues getting set up with your environment or anything right now? Is there anything you get snagged on?
No, no, not yet.
Okay, great, great. All right, thank you. Who would like to go next? And if you're not comfortable talking, that's fine. We can just keep on going.
I can go. Mike McGuckin, computer science teacher in Winston-Salem County Schools. Uh, have some coding experience from C++, JavaScript, Java, a little bit of Python here and there. Uh, no problems with science. I've been working a little bit ahead, so the only part I'm always struggling with is making sure I put stuff back on GitHub when I make it in Visual Code Studio.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mike.
I can go next. Hi,
All right.
everyone. My name is Natalia Sibalova. I don't have much coding experience. I finished this introduction class with HTML and CSS and JavaScript from Code the Dream. I'm taking right now class in college for SQL. I'm pivoting my career in data analyst or data science roles in future. So one of the reason I was interested in this Python course from Code the Dream. And I do have question after we set up environment. So I'm not sure if right now is a good time to ask.
Yeah, let's circle back to that and see if Tatiana or Beatrice wants to introduce themselves, and if not, we'll get right to that.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Hello, my name is Tatiana Tolpanenko. So I have little experience. I studied C++ in community college and JavaScript a few years ago in Code Dream, introduction class. And so unfortunately, I dropped off Node.js 2 years ago in Code Dream. I like Python, and I would like to study in future databases. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tatiana. I see Beatrice doesn't have a mic. She says she's also fairly new to Python. She has taken the intro classes. So it seems like you guys are all just starting to get your feet wet and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my VS Code because I know that you guys were saying you had some environment issues, and we'll go from there with that. You want to go ahead and give me a little bit of an explanation of what it is you're running into?
Yeah, I have a question. When you go to this class, like the first week, section 4, where it says create a working folder, and they have create a folder CD to that folder, and for the Windows user, command like Python M. So I understand the first line, but the second, when it says source dot, then v scripts active. So what this source word really means?
Okay. Do you have it open right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like to share your screen?
Screen, just a sec.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you see my screen?
Yep.
So this is the where I'm exactly what's over here stuck for this, especially for this one. Like if I type this source in CD, it doesn't go.
Right.
Like I believe it's for Mac or Linux users. It's not for Mac instructions, right?
Right. Are you using Bash or PowerShell in your terminal?
The first word was bash
Mm-hmm.
in my VS Code.
Yeah.
I use terminal from VS Code when there is it over there.
Yeah.
In a button type, you can see problem output in terminal, and on the other side of this window, you can see the name of terminal, like bash, PowerShell, something with plus icon, plus trash icon.
Correct. All right. So let me just pull up this assignment and I'll step through it with you guys. So what might be happening is your commands in the terminal. And so let's just pick a run through and see. Like I'll do a setup with you guys. Over here. Yeah, so exactly like Oksana would say, like you'll see down here, I'm running in PowerShell right now. So depending on your language, like you'll see like source is going to give you an error. Is this what you're seeing was an error?
Yes, I'm using PowerShell.
Okay, yeah, so that's why. It's because the PowerShell commands are different than that. So what you want to do is anytime you hit something like this is where uh I find AI comes in your most helpful because it's an assistant, it's not a crutch, right? So AI is really good at matching patterns. So it's going to take this pattern of this error, and if you take it over here into your Copilot and you just put in here and GPT is fine, I guess, but like if you're doing anything in coding, I would recommend Claude for its accuracy. And you can just put in that's what code thing. Let me pull up the assignment quick. This is the very first one, right? For your Python class, this is the very weak one, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure I'm on the right one with you guys. So week one. All right. So this is the right one, right?
I don't screen this. I don't see the screen. I see the screen of VS Code right now.
Oh, sorry about that. There we go. Sometimes I forget. Do the entire screen so you can see everything that I'm doing. All right. So does this look familiar? Okay, good. Yeah. So you'll notice there's going to be different ones, So Mac uses things like Homebrew. And so these different commands are all going to basically do the same thing. It's just what language you're in. Like Linux, Ubuntu uses sudo, right? So even though these all look very different, fundamentally they're going to do the same thing. So like if you go in here and you do Python version, you can see that I have 3.13.7 installed, right? So Python's pretty common, but if I was in a different terminal, there's a good chance that I would have to do, Python 3. And so then you would have to start doing aliases and such to get this to work. So let's see what happens here. Yeah, so you see in PowerShell, it doesn't need the 3, even though ideally this is the same question, right? So let's see if I can get that out of the way. There we go. All right. So you've done the pip install, right? Okay. So we had no problems with the pip install. Just in case, I'm going to do an upgrade, make sure that I'm on the same one as you guys. Fine. Copy. There we go. Yeah. So let me know if any of this doesn't look familiar to you, right? So go ahead, ma'am. Oh, okay. So this is going to be your setting up your virtual environment. So this is the .venv. That's what VNV stands for, is the virtual environment. So this is where you're going to have your requirements satisfied for your pip, right? And now that we have the environment in, little thing on. Sure. All right, so everything's running. All right, yeah. So now we have our environment is in place. So now we're going to go to create the working folder. So here's where the source was snagging you up, right? So what I would do is if you want to learn step by step what this is you can say in here with ask, right? Because this is a learning thing. You want to know what's going on. Like everyone of us in here are problem solvers. So you can put explain in detail these instructions and how to implement them in my PowerShell terminal, since source is the incorrect command. And we'll just let our little guy do his thing. So yeah, like I said, source control is not going to work because we're actually doing PowerShell. So these are going to be where you're going to do your make directory, all right? So you can see what folder we're in right now, right? I've created this Python folder for this class. So right now there's nothing in here except for this test file and this virtual environment that we started. So in here, we're going to put, we'll just make one called CTD, right? So now you can see, and feel free to follow along with this and let me know if you start having any issues so that we can get through this together, all right? And you can do this several times, like even if we're doing just by the directions, right? Make directory, Python, class, all right? And then we can go in here and we can CD, and CD is change directory. So right now we're just in the root of the Python. So we want to change directories into the one that we just created, the Python class. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So now the annoying thing about terminals is no news is good news, right? It didn't tell us anything. So the basic assumption is it worked, but never trust the computer because it's going to do exactly what you tell it to do. And if you tell it something incorrectly, it's going to just go ahead and do it because all it wants to do is make you happy. So we're going to double check and we're going to take a look after we create the working folder. All right, so now we got our working folder. We will CD into working. Now you can see with our path right here, we're in the main folder, users. There's Eric Hunter in my repositories, my Python, this Python class, working folder. All right,
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much.
no problem. Is that working for you?
Mm-hmm.
All right, excellent. Do you guys want to keep going through with this, or is there something else you guys want to work on? We'll go ahead and, we'll go through the pip installs real quick. I'll just kind of explain what this is doing, and then we'll see if you guys have any other questions. So again, we're going to install the virtual environment. You can see it's collecting all the data, doing the installation. Once we get down here to this, you can see that here we are. We're ready to go. And this is where I was talking about like the commands might change. So depending on what you're using, you might need to use pip3, but since I have the most current version of PowerShell, I just do pip installs. Sometimes you have to do Python with the M, such and so forth. So we'll create the virtual environment again inside this folder. Yes, we'll do that. Let's see if I can bring this down. I can see. I really, really hate this little Zoom thing. All right. All right, so now let's try in here. Although I'm fairly certain that it's going to be option 2 they're going to need to do. Let's take a look. All right, there we go. Okay. Verification. There we go. Yep. So you can see, basically, we have that structure right there. So inside Python class, we have a virtual environment, which is this. Here's our working. Doesn't have anything in it yet. So to make this easier to look at, we'll put a little test pie right here because we might do some stuff in a minute. So inside Python class, we'll add a README. There we go. That way we can get the tree to look a little bit better. Because the tree can get a little confusing if you're still new to it. But with all the work that you guys sound like you've done with HTML and CSS, I'm going to assume that you're fairly familiar with this tree over here. So now we can collapse the V&V. So we have our V&V inside our Python class, inside our working folder. And we're ready to rock and roll right here with the Python. We can check that by doing an import. And we'll start with one of my favorites. Just import this. Quick. There we go. There's our first line of code generated. Questions? Concerns? Comments? Boredom? Overwhelmed? All right. Tough crowd. All right. Let's look at your lesson plan, see what else you guys got going on here. We have JavaScript developer. Okay. So one of the habits I got into to make myself become a better coder was to try to do it probably the hardest way possible. I don't recommend this, but I'll show you what I use to code anytime I'm in a new language. I usually use just a very, very plain terminal, either a Vim terminal. This one's an idle shell. So you can do the same thing with a Jupyter notebook. You might get into those a little bit later as you get into the AI stuff. But the important part is you can do your code line by line with this. So we're going to assign student 2 the name Tatiana, because I see her at the top of my screen. And then we will add that into the code, and you can check your work by printing an F string. And stop me if any of this is unfamiliar. If you don't know what an F string is, I'm more than welcome to explain that. So we'll do student 2, comma, student 1, comma, and add our welcome. This is a lot like a template literal in JavaScript, if any of you are familiar with that. So it's going to evaluate what's going on in here. So we have the variables welcome and students assigned, right? So when we do the print, which is the same thing as a console log, basically, you can see Tatiana, Mike, welcome, Intrepid Python Explorers. Thank you. Nice little baby steps. All right, so then let's do some data conversion. So say we have number string, right? So we'll do 1982. Then we have the number to an integer, right? We want to turn this string into a number to be able to work with it. Right? So you can see right here, if we print, and again, I'm going to use the F string to evaluate it out. We're going to print number is now converted. Maybe if I could spell today. To and we put number integer. Close our F string. And the good thing about this terminal is if you notice that little flash, it just evaluated that code as safe to run. So if I didn't get that little flash, before I hit enter and commit this forever into the chalkboard of I messed up, I can go back and take a look at it. But now that it's here and I know it's right, commit it, and you see the string 1982 is now converted to the integer 1982. Any questions? How's everybody feeling about this?
I thank you, Eric. Everything is clear. I had a
Okay.
question on the homework where the calculator function,
Okay.
where it says to put three arguments or parameters, three parameters, and the third one has to be multiplied. I couldn't understand that much. What I have to do, like how to write multiply. It's
Okay.
like write as a string multiply, or just put the sign of the multiply.
Yeah, I can see how that could be confusing. So because of the way the keyboards are set up, you know, equals isn't actually equals. That's assigning, right? So say you wanted to do a multiply function or something, right? Come on, let's spell right today. So you would take the variables. Say you have num1, and you would use this asterisk. The asterisk is the multiply. So you're gonna have some weird ones too. You're gonna see modular, we'll get to that in a minute. But your addition is the same. Subtraction is the same. But yeah, the multiply is the weird little star. So you would do num1, num2, right? And then we're going to get mad because I haven't defined those. So if we had num1 as 12, right? And num2 as 4, and then did our multiply and did our num1 times num2. Now we're good because we already have our variables declared. So then we can just print if I spell it right, we'll call it correctly. And then there you go. It'll evaluate out. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, it does make sense. But on the homework, I think it was the task third or third, where it says operation multiply, how to put that?
Is that, are you looking at 1.3 or?
It's called calculator homework. The task 3, I think. Yeah, task 3. It says like multiply. So we put first we create multiply function, and then we
Right.
add this multiply function inside the other function.
Right. Okay. Yep. I see what you're looking at right here. All right.
I was gonna say it takes 3 parameters, num1, num2, and then a string. And those strings is what you're comparing to your if statement. So if let's say your calc option is your third parameter, you're comparing that to whatever string is being put in, whether that's modulo, divide, exponent, or I guess power is in that case. And then you do an if statement to make that work.
Exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. So the parameters is important because you're going to have, yeah, just pull this up real quick. So I have the same one you guys are looking at. Uh, yeah. Okay. So let's walk through this. All right. So you're going to define your function, right? So we're going to start with the calculator. And semantically, you can write it out really far, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to kind of shorthand it. And we're going to take our parameters. We're going to have num1, right? And actually, I'm going to clear this to make sure we have new clear variables. So we're going to close window and we will do it over here for the sake of time. So can everybody see the terminal over here?
Yep,
Yes.
we can.
Okay. So as you see, we're gonna define the calculator, right? And in here, you want to give it, we're gonna go with, num1, num2 for clarity, right? Because you want to code for your future self, like, because, say you did this at 3 in the morning and you come back, you could be like, what was I doing? Like, what was my train of thought? So we have our parameters, right? So what this is saying is in this function, anytime we call a calculator, we're going to give it 2 numbers and we're going to give it an operation. Okay. And then I'll just step through the code with you. And like Mike was saying, with your if statement, so if the operation equals the string add, you're going to return num1 plus num2. Else if the operation equals subtract. And the thing with this is you can change this into whatever. Like say you make a GUI and you're having the actual key presses for like the plus button or the subtract button or the multiply button. Whatever you assign over here, it's going to know to run this because it's going to be kind of like a switch statement. And so we got our minus, we've got our num, we've got our divide. And as long as it's not 0, right? This is where we're going to end it. So otherwise, we're going to return the error or an invalid operation, right? So over here, you can see it's sitting in place, right? So we're going to go calculator. Well, not right there, obviously. Not working. All right, so we call calculator. Give it a 2, give it a 10, we give it the string, multiply. All right. And there it goes. So what this did is it took the parameters. It didn't know what the operation is. It just knows that we're going to give you 3 things. So it believes us. It goes, all right, I believe that you're going to give me a number and a second number and tell me what to do with those numbers, right? So as long as we follow this, it's going to run right through our if and else statement, right? But say we did it in a different order, what would it do? What do you guys think it would do?
Show an error.
Okay, let's take a look. Let's see what happens if we just do it like the way a human being would say, is like 2 plus 4. What do we got here? And you're right, we have an error because we're hard coded into these parameters in this order. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yes, now it's clear. Thank you very much.
Of course. Yeah, so when you break it down, this, you can name it anything you want. You can have it just shorthand like we do in a lot of things and just do A and B. You know, you don't have to write it out semantically, but it's a good habit to get into because it will help you step through your code and know what's going through your code. And then say you get thrown on a Zoom call and you got to show people how to code live. You know what you're talking about because you're looking at your code right here. Make sense?
Yes.
All right. What else, guys? We still got about 20 minutes. Anybody feeling overwhelmed? I know I was when I first started, especially when I switched languages. It was very overwhelming. Like I was telling Mike before the rest of you guys got here, I don't know if y'all caught what I was saying, but I'll just kind of wrap up here with that. Like when I first started coding, one of my mentors said, you don't have to remember everything. That's what the computer and the internet is for. Your job is to learn how to find that information correctly and quickly and apply it with your critical thinking skills because the way your brain works and the way you can make those intuitive leaps is something that no AI is ever going to be able to replicate. So even though we have this little fellow over here giving us some boilerplate, yeah, most of the time he's going to be all right with the simple stuff. But if you need like an intuitive leap, it's going to need the imagination of a human being behind it. And the reason we practice these fundamentals the way we do like this is so that when you're talking to this, instead of just vibe coding and be like, I want an app that makes magic bubbles pop up on my webpage. Because of your HTML experience and your CSS experience, you're going to be able to tell it, I want layers. I want these elements targeted this way. I want event listeners for this. I want Z index so that this depth is on this page. You know, you're going to be able to give the tool the information it needs to produce what it is you're looking for. And so as this AI bubble evolves, because I used to be a full stack developer, and now I'm learning to become what's called a 10x programmer. And you guys are on a similar path because I've been looking over the curriculum and you're following in our footsteps, which is going to be a lot of fun. If you like problem solving and understanding how things work, you're going to be having a lot of fun with this because you're going to be teaching these AIs and you can think of them as like little digital puppies and you reward them for correct answers. You point out their flaws and they evolve and you watch them grow and become smarter and more competent, but they cannot function without you and without your knowledge and the skills that you're learning right now. So I'm very excited for all of you. So guess we'll take a look at the rest of the. I'll also drop this into the chat. This is one of my favorite resources, and I like to make sure that people are familiar with it, just in case you are not. This is called DevDocs, and why I did the link that way, I don't know. But you can simply just Google DevDocs. I believe it's .io. This is a comprehensive documentation platform for developers. So anytime you get stuck, like I'll go ahead, I have it open right here. So let me switch the screen and just kind of give you guys a little example so that you can kind of see how my thought process works when I'm working in unfamiliar territory. Because it will happen a lot. So this will be your welcome page. You don't have to worry about all that. But as you can see, it comes standard with the basic languages that you're working on. But say you want to start learning Python, which you guys are, you enable Python. Probably want to bring in a few libraries of it, especially since I am working in 3.13, which means I need to update, obviously. So in Python 3.13, say you're having a problem with what does int mean? What is this? What is this thing they're asking me to use? Here's everything about it. This is what it does under the hood. You don't have to remember all of this because it's here at your fingertips. As long as you have your computer in front of you, and if there's ones that you want to make sure that you have without an internet connection, you can make them available for offline. This is like a free, comprehensive developer's guide. So say you want to know the difference between floor and ceiling, right? We'll go in here and point out things that you need to know about. I've been using this resource since the very beginning, and I've been developing for 3.5 years now, and I still use this anytime I'm in a new thing. Like, say you get thrown a question about Rust, or Mike said he was working at PHP, but he's a little rusty, so he wanted to brush up on his PHP skills. They're in here, you know. Say you want to know the difference between a TypeScript command and the JavaScript that you know how to do. There's your TypeScript documentation. So if you guys aren't familiar with this, I like to point that out to everybody because I find the more tools you have at your disposal, the more comfortable you will get with finding your path in becoming a programmer. Right. Mike says, are we okay to copy code from Visual Studio Code to GitHub? Yes. You are in the intermediate class. So let me write this down since your toddler's probably got a toothache. AI tools are allowed and specifically asked Reed about this. So just make sure that you are citing your code like you would like any document. Cite your code and your sources because you want transparency, because you want people to see that not only can you find the stuff, but you can understand it and apply it to what you're doing. And it'll also show what you did on your own, what you needed help with, and then you gauge your own progression and people can see that you're growing as a programmer. So we all use these tools. It's like you'll hear the analogy trying to get a drink of water from a fire hose. So there's going to be so much information just being blasted at you that just find what's easily digestible for you and cite your resources. Transparency is key because this is a learning journey and nobody expects you to know how to do recursion or even know what a Fibonacci sequence is or why you would use that. And I personally, I hate math. I'm terrible at math, but I don't have to be good at math because Python has a million different math functions. I just have to know which one works correctly. So even though I've never completed calculus, I know how to use calculus with my Python. So I hope that kind of fills out that question for Mike. So yeah, if you do use tools like we have over here, the easiest way is just to document in your assignment. You know, just I would put add to the README the works cited section, including AI tools used. Because this is really one of the best things they're for. I use this little guy for checking errors and for writing documentation. I don't really trust him to do anything else. But as you can see down here, this is how you would cite your AI tools. So in your works cited, we're using, and let me move this over so you guys can see better. So as you can see in this, we use Claude Sonnet 4.5, a programming assistant for code generation and implementation guidance, documentation assistance, PowerShell command reference for the virtual environment setup, and code review and suggestions. So that gives us complete transparency of what we did and didn't do. Any other questions, concerns? This is your time. I'm here to help you guys.
No question related to Python, but question about are you going to take our attendance and how it will count?
Okay, for this, I am going to be submitting the recording of this and I have your attendance. I have all of your names, so I will just be forwarding that to Reed.
Sounds perfect, thank you.
Okay. All right. If you guys don't have anything else for me, you can feel free to log off.
Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All right. I'll be here every Wednesday.
Great. Thank you. Have a great day.